I'm making this video to show people how I use my grinder. I've had this grinder for 20 some odd years, and I have pretty good results with it. I got a couple other chains that I've ground special. One of them's ground with half the cutters, or I mean the cutters on one side are half as long as the other one. We're going to see if that one cuts straight when we get done here. But right now I'm going to show you the grinder and how I grind the chains. This my chains are a steel chain, and if you look at the Steel's manual, in there, find the paper right here, they tell you there's 70 degrees, 70 degrees, 70 degrees, 70 degrees, 70 degrees. That's the angle of this right here, the part that comes down. They want it set at 70 degrees, okay? I see so many people out there telling you need this big hook in your chain. You do not need a massive hook in a chain to make a chain cut. That is, only thing you're doing, you're taking the most dangerous power tool there is, and you're making the thing way more dangerous than it was to start with. Yes, it'll cut wood if you put a great big hook in that chain. It will cut wood. It will cut wood, but it is way more dangerous. You just touch the tip of that bar on anything, and it's going to wind up throwing that chainsaw back up in your face. For safety reasons, I mean, you know, what's the point? I mean, they both cut wood, so what's the point in making this all way more dangerous than what it was to begin with? So I got this thing all set up. The first cutter sitting right here. It's all locked down. I got this here tipped over 30 degrees. I got this pulled up. This is flipped at 10 degrees. This is a semi-chisel chain. The reason why I do not use chisel chain, they're wicked. I don't even like being around the stupid things. You know, you touch the bar, it's going to whack you open. I'm talking about when a chain's not even running. You just touch it, it's going to whack you open. That little point on the tip of a chisel chain has it sticking out there all by itself, has no support at all. You touch a little bit of dirt with that thing, and that tip is gone. When that tip is gone, the chain's done cutting wood. With a semi-chisel chain, you have a rounded side cutter. It's rounded right there in the corner. When it's rounded, it's got more support. It won't dull near as fast. It's made for cutting firewood. It ain't made for cutting, you know, the chisel chain's made for cutting standing timber. No dirt whatsoever. Absolutely none. You know, unless the wind blew it up there or something. But that's what it's made for. And everybody's using all this chisel chain, you know, and I don't even like the stuff. I don't never buy it, you know. I use this stuff right here. It stays sharp longer. I got my grinder. I can put an edge back on here. I even do a lot of times. Every time I put gas in, I touch it up and make it like razor sharp every single time. I cut way more wood because my saw is always sharp. And I don't got to have all the danger to go along with the crazy chisel chain. Anyway, I got this tipped up here on this side right here. I call it opening it up. When I flip this thing back this way, I pull it back this way. When I tighten it up, I call it opening it up, open that cutter up. The side of the cutter is doing most of the work. Whenever this side of the cutter is going by the wood, it's cutting end grain. The top is just cutting off it's peeling off what this side cutter already cut off. It's got the side of the end grain has to be severed in order for this part here to peel it up. If this part peeled up, okay, you'd have a bunch of little fingers sticking out there, but they're not cut off. The side's what's doing all the cutting off right here. You know, so why would you want to undercut that thing and have a real, butcher the angle of this side right here? The side needs to be there where it can whack the wood off and the top scrapes it away. Anyway, we're going to grind this chain, and I'll shut up for a few minutes here. I grind one, look at the cutter, it's ground all the way across, looks great. Okay? This won't take very long. Done. Oops, tiny bit more. Made a mistake. The other thing I want to tell you about these grinders is when you buy these grinders, they come with these stupid pink wheels. They're about useless. If you use these pink wheels, they'll overheat you. If you ain't really careful, you'll leave burn marks on your cutters. The sparks they throw off them, it's terrible. It's just nasty. It's a nasty wheel for grinding chainsaw chains. You get this thing here, I used it a little bit. I'm done with this wheel. I'll never use this wheel again. Crate wheel, right there. There's another one around here with a phone number on it. Let me find that one. Let's see if it's up here. Here we go. There's one with a phone number on it. I do believe, yeah, there we go. This is the best grinding wheel for chainsaw chains you'll ever run across. You won't believe the difference. How well this grinding wheel cuts the chain. It doesn't heat the cutters up. It just removes the metal, and you ain't got to play around with it forever. Their phone number is sitting right there. It's Tilton makes these things. It's called Total Assault Chainsaw Grinding Wheel. They are the these wheels right here. You get one of these on your grinder, and you will not believe the difference. You call the phone number, get a hold of them people, and whatever thickness wheel you want. I'm sure they've got several of them here. But it's just night and day difference. It'll take a lot of the fight away. You don't have near the burrs on here as you would with those pink wheels. They want to burr up, leave the burr on the side of the things. They're garbage. They're just not designed. You know, maybe if you could water cool the thing or something, liquid cool it when you grind it. But if they're terrible. I'll say it. They're terrible. Brown wheels. These are the best. Back to grinding here. I had the wheel going in the wrong direction. I want the wheel spinning. The cutter, here's the cutting edge over here. I want that wheel coming toward me so I don't leave a burr on the outside. I don't want to drag the metal to the outside right there and leave a burr on there. I don't want to do that. I want that grinding wheel coming this way. This leaves like a razor edge in there. Then you don't want to run the wheel pushing the metal that way. You want to bring it this way into the cutter. That way it doesn't leave that burr on there. I'm just taking a little tiny bit off these chains. Hardly nothing. To set this grinder up, if you're having a problem with the cutters being longer on one side than the other side, this screw on the back side over here pushes this back bar in and out. That adjusts the back rail. Okay, so when you clamp it down, when that adjustment of that back rail back there is going to center your chain so both your cutters will come out the exact same length. Not that it's really totally, absolutely critically important. They have to be exactly the same length. That's what this screw back here is made to adjust, to push the back rail in and out so it centers the chain. This chain will cut like a brand new chain. It's not a real aggressive chain. Don't have to be. If I can get my chains to cut like new chains, I'm happy. I don't need any more aggressive than that. I sure don't want the danger to it. We're just taking a tiny little bit off this thing. Very, very little. Just put that razor edge back on it again. I'm watching the cutter here. I can't even see the cutter disappearing hardly at all. Very, very little. These wheels even got a totally different sound to them. Unlike them stupid pink wheels. I think we're done. We're done on that side. Okay. That side's done. Time to do the other side. Alright, we just loosen this here up right here. We push it back to center. Flip it over to 30 degrees. Flip that back up that way. Like I said, I call that opening up the cutter. You get in there and get the other 10-degree grind in there. It leaves that side of that cutter sharper. It puts more of an angle on the side of the cutter, so it cuts better. Kind of rock that, make sure she's good and solid. You adjust this part. This here is where you adjust it for how much you want to grind off the cutter. This pushes this thing here farther forward. And this right here, you got to move this thing over. When your links get farther ground away, you don't want your grinding part of this thing off. So you got to move this, adjust this over right here, like that. So your grinder wheel, when it comes through there, it won't grind the gauge, the stop right there off. That's done. Then, you got the desktop up in the top up there, how deep you want to go. It prevents you from grinding way down into your chain down here. You don't want to do that. And like I said, I'm not really it's either a tiny bit long on the inner side. I don't really care. It doesn't make any difference. I know some people think it does, but it doesn't. If you know how to do the drags on a chainsaw chain right, if you know there's a static way to set the drags, which is a certain amount all the time, and then there's a progressive way to set it, and then the depth gauge increases the more you grind the cutter back. And right now I'm just playing with it, just to see where this side's a little bit shorter than the other side. Don't hurt a thing, like I said. That one's done. Your saw will still cut straight, even if they're a little shorter on one side than the other side. That's not determined how. The length of the cutter is not determines how much the tooth cuts. What determines how much, if they're both all sharp, what determines how much the cutter cuts is that depth gauge, the raker, the drag, whatever you want to call it. That's what determines how much this tooth is going to cut. It ain't got nothing to do with the length of the tooth. I know there's people out there who disagree with me, but I'm going to prove it. I got a chain. I found a chain at the scrapyard. 2 teeth are missing on the right hand side. 2 cutters are gone. And I purposely sharpened all those cutters on that side so they're almost half as long as the ones on the other side. We're going to put that on a saw and go outside and cut and see if the thing cuts straight. We'll see how important those drags are. I'm sitting down here on my butt on the stool. Nice warm garage. I'm not sitting there playing around with the file. It's so much easier. So much easier. Hey, we're done. Wow, that fast. We're done. That chain is sharp. Now the drags will have to be done next. And I got another video I'll show you about how to do the drags. That's the real secret in this. You get these, like I said, 70 degrees up here, 30 degrees down here. You tip this thing over, you open that cutter up where that grinder can get in there and get the right angle on that side of that tooth, and you've got something then. That chain will cut just like a brand new chain. She's sharp. She's sharp. It doesn't need that massive undercut into that big thing, that hook everybody's talking about. Like I said, that hook, all you're doing is you're just asking for problems. The more you hook that saw, let me get my little little link I showed you, and I'll show you what I'm talking about.